Hello, hello, lovely Tang here again. Your mama on a mission, and we're reading 3 Feet from Gold. We're on chapter 16, and the quote is: "When you call upon your subconscious mind, you must conduct yourself just as you would if you were already in possession of the material thing you are demanding." Napoleon Hill. Chapter 16: The Courage to Change. There's nothing quite like the greeting you get at a motivational seminar. You can literally feel the energy coursing through the hallways. "Hi there," one man greeted. "Welcome, my friend," another shouted. Greg felt a little uncomfortable with all the enthusiastic people around him, especially considering that he felt he had been kicked around a bit lately. He definitely felt out of place. "We're glad to have you," a stranger said in an energetic tone that rivaled Richard Simmons at his best. And although these people were full of liveliness, to say the least, Greg could also sense their sincerity. "Hi," Greg answered. "Looks like I found the right place. How's the sticker on his excuse me." He wore a sticker on his shirt that read, "Hi, I'm Greg." If you're looking for a group of happy, positive solutions, searching characters, you sure did, the man answered. "I'm looking for your keynote speaker," said the young author, Frank McGuire, one of the original founding members of Federal Express. "Do you know where I could find him?" "Right this way," the man led him toward a meeting room nearby. "He goes on last in the lineup. Everyone is excited to hear his story." "Me too," Greg replied. Walking through the doors, he immediately knew who McGuire was. There were people gathering tightly around him, all wanting pictures or autographs, asking him one question after another. Instead of bursting to the front, which was his former style and approach, Greg sat quietly until the last person had a private moment with McGuire. This was Greg's first attempt at obtaining an interview without the help from his mentors. He wanted to see for himself if people would open up as they did when he was introduced by an outside party. Would he find the same common denominators? As he waited his turn, he felt a calmness that was still new to him, a sense that even though there were still many questions to answer and mountains to climb, he was on the right path. "Mr. McGuire," he said as he walked towards the guest of honor, reaching out his hand. "My name is Greg. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir." "Pleasure is mine," Frank McGuire said with a genuine warmth in his voice. "Have we met?" "Yes, we have. We just shook hands," the young man joked. "Ha," responded the speaker. "That's a good one. How may I serve you?" Wow, there it was again, another leader offering to assist him. And this guy was not even one of Buckland's buddies. How is it possible that every one of these people asks the same thing? I'd like a few minutes of your time. Have you ever heard of the book called Think and Grow Rich?" Greg asked. "Are you kidding?" McGuire exclaimed. "That book changed my life." "Well, I'm working on a new project along with a woman named Sharon Letcher and with the help of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and I'd like to ask you." "You're working with Don Green?" McGuire interrupted. "You know him?" Greg inquired. "A great man and a great organization," Frank answered. "What can I do to help?" "There goes that theory," the young man thought. "Looks like he's in the same circle after all. No wonder he had the same attitude as the others. Isn't it amazing that all his interviewees associate with the same caliber of people? There is just no denying that." And now Greg felt proud that when he sought out someone he wanted to know, it was someone whom his mentors knew as well. "Would you tell me your story?" Frank took a deep breath and said, "The name is Francis Xavier McGuire." Greg answered, "Anyone can look you up on the internet to see your accomplishments. Yet, I want to know this. What kind of challenges have you faced?" "I've never been without challenges. Life is one big challenge. Or put it this way, life is one big opportunity to overcome challenges." "Is that how you've always looked at things, or was that something you learned?" Greg asked. "No, when I was a scrawny little kid, I was the one who always got kicked around. One day I decided that I wasn't going to play that role any longer, and I jumped into the game. Once that happened, I also decided that if I was going to play in the game of life, I was only going to play it big. So I stood up and started fighting back." "So you're a fan of Think and Grow Rich?" Greg prompted. "Oh, are you kidding? Hill was the creator of all things that we hear, see, and read today about personal development. The man was a genius. My favorite chapter is the one about the gold miner who gave up right before hitting treasure." Greg was no longer amazed that the story that was becoming the driving force in his own life had also affected someone else so powerfully. McGuire went on, "Everyone I have ever known who has achieved some form of greatness has simply never given up when faced with challenges. When we started Federal Express, we were told we would never make it, but we didn't give up. When Colonel Sanders was told he could never sell chicken as fast food, he didn't listen and he didn't give up. And when I worked for Jack Kennedy back in 1960s, no one thought he would get the presidential nomination, yet he never gave up. Other people standing nearby began forming a circle around the keynote presenter as he continued his thoughts. In every case I have been personally involved with, and in all stories I've read, the people who achieved greatness are the people who, sensing a nugget of wisdom about to be delivered," Greg opened his pen pad and let's see. Refuse to surrender. I don't know what's on this pencil. Oh, it's glue. Refuse to surrender. Yet that is true only when you're following your life's purpose, don't you think? I mean, if you are doing something you despise and are not gifted at, isn't it reasonable that you should start a new path, move in a different direction? Greg asked. Excuse me. "Great point," the keynoter said, "and absolutely true. It's just as Napoleon Hill described in his book. Before any of these suggestions will work, you need to find a specific major purpose, your destiny. Then once you have it, never lose focus on that destiny. Remember this, if you can dream it, then you can do it. Once you know what you are destined for, failure becomes impossible." Greg stood still. Once you know what you are destined for, failure becomes impossible. Greg stood still to drink in every word of such a powerful message. McGuire kept speaking. "In other words, your mind will not allow you to think of something that you couldn't accomplish." That's a good note to keep. Your mind will not allow you to think of something that you couldn't accomplish. So when you put that image in your imagination, whether it's selling a chicken in a cardboard box, delivering packages in the middle of the night, or receiving the nomination for President of the United States, if you can dream it, it's already a reality that's just waiting for you to get there. Greg scribbled in his now accustomed fashion the message that he had gleaned from the keynote speaker. All right, there's only 2 more pages. I can do this. Okay. A dream is a reality waiting for you to get there. A dream is a reality waiting for you to get there. I like that. From the very beginning, what was it like working with Fred Smith as you young guys started FedEx? He's a wonderful philosopher. In 1973, he had a vision that Federal Express would circle the globe, providing a service that no one else was capable of. And although the venture capitalist and his close associates said that he was crazy, he never gave in. He always knew how to play big until, of course, he chose to find a way to play even bigger. How did you get involved with him? After my departure from KFC, Fred saw an article about me in Business Weekly and called me up. He said he'd like to talk to me. I went to see him at a little Holiday Inn, and he had this napkin with a spoke and a hub drawn on it. I said, Fred, let me ask you this. I want to understand what you're saying. You want to ship packages across the country in the middle of the night and bring them right here to Memphis? He said, yep, that's right. A little concerned, I replied, that's what I thought you said. And then you want to circle them around and send them back out the next morning before dawn. He answered, that's right. I said, Fred, that's the dumbest idea I ever heard. And he looked at me and said, any dumber than selling chicken in a cardboard box? Laughing, Greg said, that's amazing. Is that really what he said? How long was FedEx around before you came on board? It wasn't. I was one of the first guys. Would you call yourself a co-founder? Immediately, McGuire soberly said, no, there is no co-founder. Fred is the only founder. The same with KFC. Unless you are the guys in the white suit, you're not a founder. What would you say to people who feel alone on their quest? What would you suggest that may inspire them to keep going once they find what they are meant for? Greg inquired. The biggest mistake people can make, let me underline this because this is talking to me. The biggest mistake people can make is to think that they are the only one who has ever gone through this experience. The truth is that we all share these experiences. We all love our kids, yet we all go through the same turmoil of raising them. We all have businesses that go through cycles. Give me one example of going with the flow when challenges come your way. Leaning in towards Greg and shifting his body, McGuire shared his final message. Using the FedEx example, 50% of our revenue was from documents, and the other 50% was from packages. One day we looked in the paper and read about this new thing called a fax machine. Excuse me. Knowing that half of our revenue had just been taken away, we could easily have quit right then. That is, it's over, we're done with. But not Fred. He kicked the tires, got creative, and made a better company in the face of this major obstacle that was thrown into our path. We did that many different times. Without any prompting, the group who had gathered around applauded as McGuire rose to wish the young author farewell. Before he could leave, McGuire put his arm around Greg's shoulders and whispered into his ear, There's gold within 3 feet from where you stand now. Stay away from self-pity. Stop playing victim. And whatever you do, keep digging. It's your turn. Woo! We're done. Chapter 16 is done. Chapter 17 is on the way, and it's Don't Quit. We are on page 159. This is how much has been read. This is how much is to go. All right, take care, Lovely Tank. Oh, the quote for next week is willpower and desire, when properly combined, make an irresistible pair. Napoleon Hill. All right, take care. Bye-bye.